Okay, today is the second lecture of the seventh week, and we are doing what was it? The life of the Buddha. So Monday, I was talking about the moment when the Buddha supposed to teach Buddhism to the ordinary people, but he hesitated because the outcome of his deep thinking during the meditation when he become enlightened. He thought it's gambira. Gambira. You should remember the word gambira. Very, very deep. Very, very deep. But people living in the world with a very narrow, we are living in the world on surface, not into the deep. So we enjoy pleasure of meeting people. We enjoy pleasure of drinking alcohol. We enjoy pleasure of making money. We enjoy pleasure of everything secular world can offer. So the Buddha thought it might be very difficult for him to carry on, teaching Buddhism to the people who are intoxicated, who are accustomed to enjoy that kind of things. So he hesitated. So that's the moment when God Brahma appeared in front of the Buddha and asking him to teach. So I'd like to show you this one before I carry on because this is one of my favorite Thai Buddha statue where you can see God Brahma with the Anjali Mudra, asking Buddha to teach. And then the Buddha has a mudra like this, his two hands on his chest, which means compassion. He, out of his compassion, he saw people suffer, living beings suffer in the world. So he thought, I should teach in order to save them. So that's the moment of the Buddha when he decided to teach. And that's the moment of the Buddha, he decided to do something for the human, beings. So he, with his supernatural power, checking who could be his first disciple. And he found out that, he had two former teachers. But unfortunately, both of them already passed away. So he thought, Pancha Bhikkhu, the group of 5 monks, could be the perfect people who he can teach. So in order to meet them, he moved from the Uruvela to Varanasi area, where there was a place called the Sarnath. And the Sarnath is a very famous place for the wise people, rishis. So the place where those Pancha-Bhagya Bhikkhu stay was called Ishipatana Migada, pleasure park, deer park of wise people. So when the Buddha approached there, Pancha-Bhakya Bhikkhu tried to ignore him because they are still doing ascetic practice. And the Buddha, as they saw, he accepted the food from the Sujata. They tried to ignore. But as soon as the Buddha appeared, everyone, overwhelmed by the charisma of the Buddha. One people bringing what is it? Food for the Buddha. One people washing the feet of the Buddha. One people take the bowl from the Buddha. One people prepare the seat for the Buddha. One people, inform the Buddha to place where he can sit down. So the Buddha, with his charisma, just make all the people overwhelmed. And then he teach the teaching. This is the first teaching of the Buddha, and where the Buddha talking about 4 noble truths. Suffering. The world is full of suffering. Why we suffer? because of the desire. So the second truth, the arising of suffering. And the third one, we can remove it. We can remove suffering by, removing all our desires. That's the third one. And how to do it? That's the fourth one. You should follow 8 noble paths, which means Majjhima Patipada, middle path, middle way in between ascetic life and secular life. So when he teach there, Panchabhakya Bhikkhu, one by one, understand, the gist of his teaching, and one by one become the member of Buddhist Sangha. So in India, usually if you do something to start in India, it's very interesting. In India, if you start something, you should turning the wheel. Turning the wheel means to start. To start means turning the wheel. So turn a wheel of teaching, Dhamma Chakra. So in Sanskrit, Dharma Chakra, turning the wheel. And then we have Pavarta, Dharma Chakra Puravarta. Puravarta means turning. So Dhamma Chakra Pavata, Dharma Chakra Puravarta means turning the wheel of teaching. In turning the wheel of the teaching. So this word already contained to start. So it means the first teaching of the Buddha means Dhammacakkappavattana. So Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra is the name of the first teaching given by the Buddha. So in Chinese, we translate this word as not just the 전 법륜경. They put 초전 법륜경 because they understand turning the wheel means to start. So Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Dharmacakra Puravartana Sutra in Sanskrit means the first teaching of Buddhism to the human world. So this is one of the very special moment, the first teaching of the Buddha. So in many Buddhist countries, this was commemorated with, how can I say, deer and chakra. Deer and chakra usually. This one. This is what I like from the Metropolitan Museum in the US, I think. It's from Gandhara. So the Buddha was teaching, the first sermon, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Panchabhakya Bhikkhu, together with, I think, God Indra, listening the teaching. And the Buddha actually turning the wheel with his hand, turning the wheel. And this was symbolized with the 2 deers. So wheel and 2 deer means the first teaching, So whenever you saw any Buddha statue where there is a turning the wheel, you can safely assume, this is the first teaching. The first teaching of the Buddha appeared like that. Anywhere else? I show you similar Varanasi. So it was placed near Sarnath, where the Buddha gave his first sermon. So we have a very nice Buddha statue discovered from Sarnath. And Buddha's hand gesture like that it's explaining something very difficult. So it's a teaching mudra. We usually call it as a teaching mudra. And the bottom of this nice Buddha statue, this is one of the best photo I took from the Saranat. It's beautiful, Gupta style, which means 5th or 6th century, from the middle part of the India. The Buddha gave the first teaching, and down there you can see the wheel together with the 2 deer. So it means the first teaching of the Buddha. So the Buddha statue giving the first sermon. So in Korean, how can I say? 초전법륜상? Something like that. 전법륜상? We can call it like that. So that's the one. That's the one. And symbolism continue. So in some other place, like Sanchi, in the middle part of the India, this was, symbolized with a very big wheel together with the deer, and everyone have an Anjali Mudra toward. So pay homage to the teaching of the Buddha. Teaching of the Buddha. Maybe the first sermon. This maybe show the first sermon. I'm not sure about that, but we traditionally believe. One thing very interesting you should know is that East Asian version, especially Korean version, it is different. This is a Korean version of the first teaching. Korean version of the first teaching. But as you can see, there is no Panchapakya Bhikkhu. There is no, teaching mudra. Instead, we have Vairocana Buddha, Birojana, when Buddha going up to the heaven, and he teach Huayen Sutra, Avatamsaka Sutra, one of the Mahayana teaching to the heavenly beings. So late Joseon dynasty, late 700, almost 800 common era, Korean people believe the first teaching of the Buddha cannot be the Four Noble Truths. The first teaching, the Buddha going up to the heaven, giving a sermon to the heavenly beings. This is very similar to the Southern Buddhism, where third week after the enlightenment, the Buddha was in the heavenly world, and the heavenly beings built, jeweled palace for the Buddha, and inside the Buddha, he thought how to teach Abhidhamma. So Abhidhamma could be the first teaching according to the Southern Buddhism. Very similar thing happened. That's very big difference between the two traditions. So this is the first teaching of the Buddha, and then he start his teaching career. How can I say? His mission career, to give a sermon to the people. So he may give a sermon to the king Bimbisara. So King Bimbisara opened the first Buddhist monastery near the Rajagriha, his capital, and that was the name of the place was called Belluwana, Jungnim Bamboo Park Grove. So you can see the bamboo here. Bamboo Park, you can see many bamboos with the king and all the people coming, and the Buddhist Sangha for the first time have a nice bamboo grove. And then he going back to his hometown, and the number of people getting bigger and bigger, and Buddhism flourish. You can see all the bamboos. And then he goes back to the Kapilavastu, where he met his father and mother and all his former wife, Yasodhara, as well. And Yasodhara, pay homage to the Buddha, together with his two disciples, Sariputta and Maudgalayana, and his son, Rahula, also become the member of the Sangha. during this time. And then, another merchant called another merchant from Shravasti, during the time when the Buddha teach, there are two countries in the northern India contest each other. So the Buddha was initially succeeded in spreading Buddhism in Magadha area, and the rival kingdom slightly north was Koshala. The capital of Koshala was Shravasti, and the capital of Magadha was Rajagriha. So in the Rajagriha, the king Bimbisara offered the place called Belluwana. So Belluwana become the first Buddhist monastery. Magadha kingdom. Magadha kingdom with the king Bimbisara. They offer how can I say the city Rajagriha. They offer Belluwana. It's a bamboo grove, the first Buddhist monastery. So the rival kingdom, as I said to you, is Koshala kingdom. And this time, we have a very nice story. It's a merchant called Ananda Pindaka merchant. Visited the Ananda Pindaka, visited Rajagriha, and then he saw the Buddha. And the merchant Ananda Pindaka thought he is the holy person he had ever seen in his whole life. So he thought he should invite the Buddha to his own country, Koshala. So the capital of Koshala was Jetavana. No, Shravasti. The capital city of the Koshala kingdom was Shravasti, and the merchant Ananda Pindaka was from the Shravasti. So he moved to the Buddha and invited him to his own country, and Buddha said, okay, I will visit your country. So Ananda Pindaka coming back to the Shravasti and thought, the Buddha, when he was coming, he was not alone. He was coming with a large number of Buddhist monks, usually 60,000, Buddhist monks. It's a bit number exaggerated, maybe 60 or 100, maybe something like that. So he thought he needed some place where large group of Buddhist monks stay together. So when he checked the Shravasti, and he found out that there is a nice pledge club owned by Prince Jeta. Prince Jeta of the Koshala kingdom owns a very nice pleasure park. So this place eventually become Buddhist ashram. It was called the Jetavana. It became called the Jetavana. But story was very interesting. It was depicted here in your photo, depicted here like that. But very, very complicated story, I have to tell you. We have a nice things we can actually saw. Where is it? So this is one of the old, Buddhist carving of the Jetavana. So, as I said to you, the group of Sangha, including the Buddha, was invited by merchant Ananda Pindaka, and he coming back to the Shravasti, checking where could be the place where large group of Buddhist monks stay, and he found out that this right hand side, very nice, a pleasure park, belongs to Prince Jeta. So the merchant go to the prince and asked him to buy your own pleasure park. I'd like to buy your own pleasure park, your own park. And the prince thought, he's just a merchant, and I'm the kshatriya, so I don't want to sell my pleasure park to him. So he said, if you put the gold, all the place in my pleasure park, then I can sell my pleasure park to you. Which means I don't want to sell my own, Jetavana. And then, Ananda Pindaka, he sent his people to put the gold on the every place in the pleasure park. So you can see here, people put the gold on the ground of the park belongs to the Prince Jeta. So once he started it, Prince Jeta, terrified, and coming to the Ananda Pindaka, the great merchant, and asked him why you are doing this. And the merchant said to the Buddha that I met the holy person in Rajagriha. His name was the Buddha, and he has got large group of monks, and they are coming to the Shravasti, and we need a place for them. Then the Prince Jeta agreed to offer. He also wants to offer. So Prince Jeta, accepting all the gold just placed by the Ananda Pindaka, and there are some place still, have to be filled with the gold. So that place was donated by Prince Jeta. So Ananda Pindaka built one house, and Prince Jeta built another house, and there is what this one, Bodhi tree as well. So all together, this place become Jetavana, the second biggest Buddhist monastery in India, was built with this inside this occasion. So Ananda Pindaka, pouring water, you remember pouring water? What does it mean? Transfer of ownership. Transfer of ownership. So with the pouring water, this whole Jetavana pleasure park belongs to Buddhist Sangha. So I think you should remember there are many discourse of the Buddha appear in early canon as well as Mahayana Buddhist canon. And about 70%, about 70% of Buddhist canon, 70% of the sermon given by the Buddha actually was done at the Jetavana. So many people wonder why 70% of Buddha's teaching given not in Magadha area where the Buddhism first start, and not in Beluwana, the first Buddhist monastery. Why Jetavana? And the reason is very simple. The Buddha, when before he passed away, he said to the Ananda that, "Oh Ananda, if you cannot remember where I gave this teaching, you should put the place Jetavana." So any Buddhist monk who cannot remember where he heard some special teaching of the Buddha, it all belongs to Jetavana. So all the Mahayana Buddhist teaching, they cannot remember. It's all made up. So they said it's from the Jetavana. So that's the why almost 70% of the teaching of the Buddha in Hinayana as well as Mahayana was given at the Jetavana. So Buddhist Sangha and bigger. And then we have miracles. So the first miracle was called the Rajagriha miracle. So a mad elephant charging toward the Buddha, and everyone just fled away. But in front of the Buddha, this mad elephant just stop and venerating to the Buddha. So this is called the Rajagriha miracle. Happened in Rajagriha. So Rajagriha miracle, and it means even animals can immediately realize that the Buddha was not the ordinary person. He's a holy person. So even animals can understand. So this was called the Rajagriha miracle. And second miracle, this one, we usually call it as a Sankasha miracle. Sankasha miracle. It's very nice story, during the time when Buddha was there are so many miracles. Buddhist monk, when they have a deep meditation, they can perform miracles. So in Shravasti, one monk performed miracles, and everyone, people in Shravasti, admire this monk who is performing supernatural power. So people offer food and everything only to him, not to the Buddhist Sangha. So Buddha became upset and he prohibited performing a miracle in any occasion. Any miracle performing is prohibited among the Buddhist Sangha because of this monk. And then, Hindu or other religious group thought Buddhist Sangha cannot perform any miracles. So this is the time we can have a kind of a show off of the miracle against the Buddhism. So they said, you Buddhist monk, you cannot perform any miracles, but you can do, and so on. So when, the group of people belongs to other religion attacked the Buddhism, and the Buddha thought, I prohibited performing any supernatural power to the member of the Sangha, not me. So the Buddha thought, I think I can show them the miracle. It is not against the order I just gave. And the Buddha said, I will show you a miracle in front of the Shravasti city wall in a certain day. You will watch. I will perform miracle, near the mango tree. You can see here the mango tree over here. I will perform miracle near the mango tree. And then the people in the religious leaders belongs to other religion worry about the Buddha's supernatural power, and they cut off all the mango tree near the city of Shravasti. And when the day was come, the Buddha approaching to the Shravasti, he met one hunter, and hunter offered him mango, and the Buddha eat mango very deliciously, and he just threw the seed of the mango to the ground, and then this seed immediately become very big mango tree. So with the mango tree, the Buddha just rising up into the air, and he duplicate his body. So one body of the Buddha duplicated, and these two duplicated body of the Buddha, sleeping posture, two body of the Buddha, meditation posture, and the one standing up posture. So this was called the twin miracle. The Buddha show his body, in two portions. It's called the twin miracle. Twin miracle. So with this miracle, all the people follow different religion thought the Buddha is too high. We cannot to attack him. So they all gave up. So this is called the twin miracle. So with this twin miracle, the Buddha actually, how can I say, make all the leaders of other religion following him. So he almost, how can I say, conquered a religious world in the Koshala kingdom as well as Magadha kingdom. So he become, how can I say, one top top of the religious group in on earth, maybe on India, on Magadha and Koshala kingdom, with this supernatural power. And then he thought, the Buddha thought, I think I should do something for my mother, because in India, when children, when they become old, they should do. They have 3 debts from 3 debts they should pay back. The first debts they get from their parents, their mother and father educate them, make him birth and grow old. So they have a debts to their parents. They also have their debts to the God, God, controlling and everything. And also they have to pay back to their ancestor and so on. So the Buddha thought his mother, Queen Maya, passed away just 1 week after, he was born. So he should do something for his mother. And he, with his supernatural power, checking where his mother was at that very moment. And he realized that his mother was reborn as a god in Tushita heaven, Dosoljan or Tushita heaven. So Buddha going up to the Tushita heaven, and then he teach all his teaching he gave during his mission period to his mother in just 3 months. So he concentrated and he make it a summary, he make it systematized teaching of his own teaching career to his mother in very short time. So this was called the Abhidhamma, interpretation of the teaching. So interpretation of his own discourse was done by him because of this event. So in Southern Buddhism, Sutta, the teaching of the Buddha, Vinaya, the rules they Buddhist monks should follow, and the interpretation of the teaching Abhidhamma, all belongs to Buddha. So all Tipitaka, 3 kind of early canon, was done by Buddha himself. So we call it as a Buddha Vajjana, the word of the Buddha, everything, the word of the Buddha. So while he gave a teaching of Abhidhamma to his mother, God Indra, God Brahma, all the heavenly beings gathered together, they all listen, and they all become very faithful Buddhist. And during this time, one of the most, how can I say, wise disciple of the Buddha was Sariputra. So every day the Buddha teach Abhidhamma, Sariputra going up to the Tushita heaven here, the word of the Buddha. And at the end of the day, Sariputra going down to the human world and deliver the teaching of the Buddha in the heavenly world to the group of monks in the how can I say, on earth. So this is how Abhidhamma, the book of Abhidhamma, collected and preserved among the Buddhist Sangha. So this is called, Tushita heaven, the teaching of the Buddha. And then, the Buddha cannot stay there for long, mainly because many monks, even the people in the hell, realize that there is no Buddha on earth. And where the Buddha at the moment? And they realized that the Buddha was not in the human world. The Buddha was in the heavenly world. So everyone asked the Buddha to coming back to the human world. Without you, we are all vulnerable, vulnerable, are insecure. So the Buddha should coming back. Please coming back. Everyone did. So the Buddha decided to coming back to the human world. So he built a ladder, sadari ladder from the Tushita heaven to the human world, and coming down from the center of the ladder, and in his side, in his both side, God Brahma offering the sunshade, God Indra with the Sangha. Sangha means shell trumpet, something like that, shell trumpet. And then they going down to the human world. But usually, God Indra was too handsome. Any human being actually saw the God Indra, and God Indra too brilliant and too handsome, they become blind. They no longer can see. So the Buddha, with his supernatural power, God Indra less brilliant, less handsome, so that human beings can see God Indra. And the god Brahma always, saying some mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, something like that. But the sounds of God Brahma was so good and so deep. Any human being actually can hear the sound of God Brahma. They cannot hear anymore. So the Buddha, with his supernatural power, the mantra of the God Brahma, less beautiful, less in very deep, sound, so that everyone can hear. So while the Buddha was coming down from Tushita heaven to the human world, for the first time, people on earth can see the heavenly beings. Heavenly beings show themselves to the people on earth. Even people suffer in the hell can see. And everyone, among the everyone, Buddha was one of the best teacher. So the title of the Buddha, we usually call it as a Satta Deva Manusanam, the teacher of human beings as well as heavenly beings. So this is the moment the Buddha really become one of the teacher, not only among human beings but also among the heavenly beings. So while he was coming down here, the place was called the Sankasha. So this miracle was called the Sankasha miracle. Variously depicted, this one. So you can see here, very nice Radha. And the Buddha was coming down to the human world. This one. Tushita heaven, and they have a nice ladder, and Buddha was coming down in Thai mural painting. But what I like most is this one. This is from one of the Thai temple. The Buddha coming down from Tushita heaven to the human world. You can see many heavenly beings listen the teaching of Abhidhamma from the Buddha in Tushita heaven. And the Buddha was coming down with the God Brahma and God Indra. And what was it? It's an escalator, coming down very nicely done by Thai people, like President Trump. Yeah, he's coming down with the escalator. So this was called the Sankasha miracle. Very, very important event on Buddhism. And then not appear in here, but Buddha had one more miracle. It's called the Vaishali miracle. So it's all in your handout. I've already given to you. You remember a Shiravasti miracle, a twin miracle, but the Buddha make his body two, and sleeping posture, sitting posture. Shiravasti miracle, Sankasha miracle, I just said to you. Rajagriha miracle, charging of the elephant. And we had the one last one, Vaishali miracle. And Vaishali miracle, very interesting. Not in here in Thai mural painting, but we have some occasion where you can frequently see this one. If you go to Thailand, you can see this kind of Buddha statue in many places, like Thailand or Myanmar, or Cambodia. I saw everywhere. The Buddha sitting in front of the Buddha, one monkey and one elephant. one monkey and one elephant. If you go to Suphanburi in Thailand, huge Buddha statue in front of the monkey and elephant, you can see. The story is very interesting. So this is the story. In Korea, Buddhist monks fighting each other. There are groups within the Korean Buddhist Jogye order. They fight each other, and sometimes monk fight with laity. Laity fight with the monk. That sort of thing occur. So even at the time of the Buddha, monk fight each other. It's mainly because within the Buddhism, once they become arhat, they are all equal. Once they become enlightened, they are all equal. As an equal status, they thought I'm better than other people, and they fight each other. So in the Vaishali, maybe Kosambi, we are not sure. And the Buddha tried to intervene, reconcile the fighting between the group of the monk, but they are not stopped, even when intervened by the Buddha. So the Buddha fed up with the fighting of the Buddhist monk and said, "Bye-bye. I don't want to stay with you. I'd like to be alone in the forest." So the Buddha said bye-bye to them, entering into the forest. According to some Buddhist text, it's near Vaishali. According to other Buddhist texts, it's near Kosambi. So it's called the Kosambi Gondo in Chinese version, but in Thai version, it's a Vaishali. So the Buddha entered into Pariyeka, forest. So for the first time, Buddha was alone. Buddha was without Ananda, his attendant, and at this moment, when the Buddha was alone, one of the elephants in the forest thought, usually the Buddha was surrounded by a group of the monk, so that he cannot do anything for him. But this time in the forest, the Buddha was alone. So this is my chance to offer something. So the elephant offered water to the Buddha, and Buddha accepted. So elephant become very happy. He succeeded in offering something to the holy person. So when elephant was offering the water, nearby the place, there was a monkey. And monkey thought, elephant was succeeded in offering water to the Buddha. I can do something as well. So monkey offering, the honey. How can I say? Before they extracting the honey, they have a honey house. What is it called? One honey house, kind of a mill lab, that sort of thing. He just offer, the house of the honey to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, "There are many living creatures inside there. I cannot accept it." So monkey going back, and he extract the honey from that honey house, and he offer just the honey to the Buddha, and the Buddha accepted. So when the Buddha accept the honey, not honey house from the monkey, this monkey become very happy. So he just going up to the tree, and then just the tree was cut, and he was just coming down from the high place, and his body was pierced by another chunk of the tree, and the monkey just passed away. So is it a good thing or bad thing, do you think? This is a good thing, because as soon as this monkey died, he was reborn as a human being. He was reborn as a heavenly god. So this is actually a good thing according to the Indian way of the thinking. So this is a story of a Vaishali miracle, or one who bong mil, in Korea, one who bong mil. The last miracle I said to you here, one who receiving honey from the monkey. and receiving water from the elephant, receiving honey from the monkey. I think I should go further. And then lastly, the Buddha passed away. When he was very old, he met nice smith called Chunda. Chunda is a very rich person. He's a goldsmith. Gold and silver. He do something, and he wants to offer food to the Buddha, and Buddha thought it might be dangerous because Chunda prepare pork, cooked pork. But he prepared the food for 1 or 2 weeks before. So 1 or 2 weeks later, this pork become, going out. It's not eatable. But he thought this is a very important pork, and he offered it to the Buddha. And Buddha knew if he eat this pork, he will die. But he cannot refuse. Because Chunda with the Anjali Mudra, please accept my food. So Buddha eat it. And he was already 80 years old. His body cannot continue. So he passed away. So this is the final nirvana of the Buddha. So for the religion of the Buddhism, as a people who follow Buddhist religion, this is a very strange moment because they are follower of the Buddhism, and their teacher just passed away like a human being. So people can easily disappointed with this kind of thing happening. But in Indian tradition, even God pass away. When their time ends, God coming back to the human world. So everyone, born and die again and again and again. But this time, the Buddha already become enlightened. There is no more desire left to him. So he will not reborn again, and he will be totally disappear from this, endless rebirth. So through which he achieved the end of suffering, according to them. So this event was called Nirvana, Nirvana of Buddhism. So with the Nirvana of the Buddhism, when the Buddha passed away, many Buddhists from different tradition has got different interpretation. So Nirvana, according to the Korean version, it's very nice. When the Buddha eat, the pork, he passed away under the 2 trees. The Buddha just passed away, and everyone crying here. Heavenly beings, all the coming down, crying. But when they try to have a cremation, they cannot put the fire. 2 weeks they cannot do it, and then eventually his arch disciple called Mahakashyapa appear, and the feet of the Buddha appear, which means it is time to have a cremation. So when they cremate, they put his body into the iron coffin and put the fire. While they do cremation, the shari of the Buddha coming down like a rain, they're coming down. And then this shari of the Buddha, part of the body of the Buddha, divided into 8 portions. So these 8 portions of the shari of the Buddha distributed to Shakya clan, Magadha clan, and Koshala clan, and so on. Here you can see distribution of the shari, the body part of the Buddha, to the clans. So with this shari, Buddhism expand. With this shari, they built Buddhist stupa. And through which Buddhism spread all around India. We may call it like that. So this is the story of the Buddhism. So coming back to the handout I gave it to you, we can all do together. So which one belongs to which? First one, dream of King Maya and birth of the Buddha, four journeys and going forth, asceticism, awakening, first sermon, final nirvana, according to East Asian Buddhist tradition. So what do you think about this one? This is the birth of the Buddha, because Queen Maya holding the tree. Yeah. Where is it? Borobudur. This one. Queen Maya holding the tree. You can see here, Queen Mother holding the tree. I said to you that holding the tree means the life is coming down. So life was coming down. I think the Buddha actually was born here. It's damaged. And this one, the Buddha actually standing. And 7 steps symbolized by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 water jar with a lotus flower. So which means 7 steps. So this one, the birth of the Buddha. So number 2. A means number 2. Number 2. I put in your chatting chat. And number B. B here, you can see people together with the Buddha. Where is it? Together with the Buddha, they have a method hair. Usually, this kind of hair done by ascetics who was doing asceticism. So who are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pancha Bhikkhu, together with the Buddha, they do Hershi asceticism. So this one, B, belongs to asceticism. Number 5. B, number 5. I think. And C, I think this one, the Buddha, like a meditation posture, something like that. But this is the moment when the Buddha gave a sermon. So I think this one, there is no deer and so on, but the only option we can go for is the first sermon, C, number 7. I think. and D, where is it? This one? So this one, what do you think about that? It's very complicated, but you can see here, the Buddha was on the horseback, and the 4 guardian angels holding the feet of the horse, and they are flying high. So what's this moment? Is the Buddha's going forth from home to homelessness. So A, B, C, D. D for what was it? D for 출가, going forth. 4. D for 4. And last one. This one. I've already explained to you what was it. At the moment of enlightenment, you can see the Buddha's hand gesture, pointing the earth, asking the earth to become witness, and the Buddha winning over Mara, the god of the death, and he achieved enlightenment. So E for the awakening. E for 6. No. 수학만 6. Yeah. So you can see here. So if you go to Borobudur in Indonesia, you should check very carefully, and then you will identify, those things. I'd like to do this because, many people visit Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It's a huge Hindu temple. After 1 or 2 hour of tour around Angkor Wat, there are two kind of people. One kind of people usually said, I saw so many stones. I can't understand. It's very boring. And the second group of people, this is a very meaningful trip. I saw God Indra, I saw God Brahma, and I saw how the world was created according to early Indian tradition and so on. I'd like you to become the second group, so that you can understand the culture of the Buddhism, so that you can understand wherever you go, you can give your own opinion on Buddhist tradition. Anyway, this one, second one. So we have a birth, awakening, first summon, and nirvana. Very easy. So this one, will and two deer. First summon, first summon. So this A means number 3. And this E, the Buddha was lying down, people crying. What was it? His nirvana. So E for number 8. And going down there, the lady was holding the trunk of the tree. So this one, D means the birth, number 1. And this one, you can see the Buddha's hands, Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, asking the earth for the witness of his holy things. So this one, awakening, number 2. H, number 2. And then we have 4 miracles. Twin miracle, the Buddha show his body in 2 parts. Where is it? This one, you can see the Buddha make his body duplicate. You can see here. So this is a Sankasha miracle. So F, Sankasha miracle, number 5. And this one, B, the Buddha was coming down, and God Brahma with the sunshade, God Indra a bit damaged, maybe with the Sankha, shell trumpet. So this is a Sankasha miracle. So B, number 5. And how about this one? Mad elephant charging to the Buddha and just stop in front of the Buddha. What was it? This one, G, Rajagriha miracle. Rajagriha, number 6. And then this one, there might be an elephant and a monkey, not really clear. But this is the only option we can safely assume. C for number 7. C for number 7. You can see that. So I hope you should understand this. If you can understand this, you will enjoy museum or Buddhist temple you go, because you can understand what is going on there. For example, I just show you this one before we finish. If you go to the Korean National Museum in Yongsan, we have a very nice Indian small icon where the life of the Buddha depicted like that. And I think you can understand this. What is the center of this statue? You can see here, this is the awakening of the Buddha. Awakening of the Buddha. And this side, the holding the tree, the birth of the Buddha. And just over there, wheel and 2 deers, first the teaching of the Buddha. And this one, the Buddha coming down from the Tushita heaven. God Indra and God Brahma. So this one, Sankasha miracle. And over there, Buddha was lying down, the nirvana of the Buddha. And this one made the elephant charging to the Buddha and suddenly stop. So this is a Rajagriha miracle. And this one not clear, but it should be, what was it? I think it should be, well, what was it? What? Wonhu Bongmil? And so on. All the things happened to the life of the Buddha, just concentrated on this small statue. You can easily recognize. And among the most beautiful one, I've always thought was in Indian Museum in Kolkata. And this one, this is my favorite life scenes of the Buddha in the, it's a 10th century Pala style. And I explained this and stop today. So you can see here, 4 major scenes. This is the birth of the Buddha, Queen Maya, and the Buddha was born. And this one, he's going forth from home to homelessness with his horse. And this one, cutting hair, cutting hair. The Buddha cut his hair. And second one, depicting the Mara with what was it? His hands touching earth. The Bhumi Sparasya Mudra, his awakening. And this one, wheel with the deer and Panchabhakya Bhikkhu, and the Buddha with the teaching mudra, teaching posture. So the first sermon, and the Buddha lying down, so Buddha's pathway. Step by step in India, they develop this kind of a nice, life story of the Buddha with the stone. So this one as well, you can see it partly damaged. You can see here the birth of the Buddha, a dream of Queen Maya, a white elephant entering into the womb of the Queen Maya. This one, meditation, maybe 설산 보행, asceticism. And this one, cutting hair. This one, he's going forth. And we have a damaged here, but here you can see wheel and 2 deer. So this is Buddha's teaching. And this one, the Buddha's hands touching earth. So Buddha's awakening. So I hope next time if you go to Buddhist museum or wherever, I hope you can get some idea of how those kind of Buddha statue actually mean. So I stop here today, and I finish things about life story of the Buddha. From the next week, I'm going to talking about the method the Buddha used, which was a meditation. But there are different kind of method available during the time of the Buddha, and I try to explain what could be the Buddhist one, what could be the method the Buddha used when he become enlightened. Okay, thank you very much. I will see you next.
Excuse me, sir. May I ask a question?
Oh, okay, yep.
So what is the topic of our report?
Your assignment. I will think about it. I will talk about it to you next week.
I see.
Okay, thank you very much, and see you next week. Have a nice weekend, and see you next week. Bye bye.
감사합니다.